Welcome back to Outdoors with the Morgans. I'll tell you what, it kind of feels like fall today. I mean, we're a ways off yet, but it's in the 70s, and I'm loving it. It's much better than the high 80s and 90s. I'm down here at the Sawmill this morning doing my thing. I just about have this lift of white pine done. There's close to 500 board feet there. Probably saw one more log, and we'll put that other pallet on top of it with probably some more walnut. And I'm going to have to saw more stickers because my stack of stickers is about expired. When I'm down here running the sawmill or the firewood processor, really anything, I'm always wearing these 3M Bluetooth headphones, and I listen to different podcasts and things. And last night I was doing some reading, and I tell you what, this AI thing, I talked about this last year, how everything's going to change, and it's happening right now. I don't know what to think. It's a shame because there's so much good that can come from it, but there's also going to be so much bad. I mean, a lot of jobs are going to get eliminated. I'm reading right now, it's kind of ironic, Microsoft is I think they laid off 9,000 people so far. And these are people that helped design the AI that is replacing them. I don't think there's a better time in history to be a plumber or a carpenter or something. You know, you build something, you do something. I can't see that being replaced by AI anytime soon. Maybe long-haul trucking, possibly. That's kind of in the works. But the other day I went by a paving job and I had to laugh because they were hitting it hard. They probably had 50 trucks with asphalt. And, you know, they're driving up in the open lane, pulling over, backing into line. And it was a well-choreographed system. And I thought, can you imagine if robots were trying to do that? But who knows? Maybe at some point they will. But, you know, back when we had debit cards, remember how great that was? You thought, wow, I don't have to carry a bunch of cash. I've got a debit card. And then the fraud starts, you know? And then you got to worry about your debit card numbers, your credit card numbers, those skimmers or whatever, those scanners when you put your card in. Cell phones. My phone is basically unusable as a phone anymore. I mean, I use it for all the YouTube stuff and the internet, but I get so many spam calls a day. It's unbelievable. I get spam text messages. I just got one, and I don't know what their angle is on this. I've never replied to one. Maybe you know. I think they just try to get you talking with them. But I get one this morning. It says, hey, do you want to come over and bake seafood? No idea who it is. It's some spam thing. And with AI, it's going to get to where you don't even want to answer your phone unless you know the number, know the person that's calling you. I'm kind of there right now. But, you know, it will be able to record the voice. Let's say it gets a recording of a voice from your son or your daughter or your granddaughter or grandson. It will be able to call you, and you won't know the difference between the AI-generated voice in your own family. And they could tell you anything, and you're going to believe it, you know? So I think it would be a good idea to have some kind of system in place with your family. That's what we do. We have, it sounds creepy, sounds like it's, you know, tinfoil hat kind of stuff, but we have code words that if somebody calls in some type of emergency, they're going to have to know that code word. Then you're going to know it's actually that person. It's probably a good idea to start thinking about that kind of stuff. But it is getting crazy out there, and everything's going to change in a really, really big way. I'm convinced, and it's happening right now. And so much stuff, social media, you know, I make a living on YouTube. I've mentioned before, I can coast to the finish line at this point, but I think it may be hard for a little bit, but I also think that people are going to look for real things. You know, at least that's the way I am. I can't speak for everybody. I was on Facebook last night, which I don't do very often anymore. We have a Facebook page, and a lot of people like to follow our posts and things like that. But they're real stuff, real things that we're doing. And I'm on Facebook, and 90% of the stuff is just outright a lie or fake, you know? And there's these Facebook pages that are huge, and I can't believe so many people fall for it. You know, we live north of Pittsburgh, and there was a thing the other day, some black and gold thing. It just pops up. I don't like their page, but black and gold, Pittsburgh Steelers, Pirates, all that kind of stuff. And it had Mike Tomlin, the coach of the Steelers, AI-generated pictures of Mike Tomlin down helping with the Texas floods, and it says how much money he donated, and it shows him like rescuing people out of the water. That didn't happen. And there's hundreds of comments from people, like with the prayer emojis and all that, and bless him and all this stuff. And like, how do they not know this is all fake? It's basically, Facebook is becoming pretty much unusable unless you strictly follow real pages with real people doing real things. And everything's changing. It is. It's the Wild West out there. This is like the Industrial Revolution times 10 in the next year. There's going to be a lot of good that comes from it and a lot of bad. I'm not sure what there's going to be more of. I'm afraid it's going to be more bad. I do. But in medicine and things like that, I mean, I think they could really do some incredible things. But it's just crazy out there. It gets to where you don't trust anything you see or read on the internet or phone calls or whatever. Let me know, please, what you think is going to happen, because I'm really trying to wrap my head around this. I always try to stay ahead of things. You know what I mean? I try to look for trends and things and what's happening, but nothing's real anymore, you know? I shouldn't say nothing, but there's a lot of things out there that are just nonsense. And like I said, I can't believe so many people fall for it. I can't believe it. I don't know. But anyway, I got to head up to the house for a bit, and I'll report back in a bit. All right, I just got in the truck. I've got the dump trailer on behind me. We need to go out and get some supplies for the next couple days. I need to pick up some wire and conduit for the electric line to the kiln. I need to dig a trench for that. And I'm going to stop at the stone yard, get just a couple ton of 2A limestone to use as backfill for that. It just works out a little bit better. It doesn't settle as much, and just kind of a cleaner, neater job. And I need to get some pipe to set up a temporary siphon system for down at the pond and get that water level down a bunch so I can fix that. So I think that's about it. I probably should have wrote all this down. All right, I just got back to the house. I got some 2A limestone, some 2-inch Schedule 40 pipe. I was going to get 4-inch, but it'll just take a little bit longer with the 2-inch for the siphon for the pond, and it was about half as much money. I bought some conduit, some wire, all in. That was a $500 trip, $495. But right now, I'm going to try something that I'm not sure I can do. I'm going to try to back this dump trailer over there by the shipping container. Things look a little bit different on camera, but what I have to do is pull down the hill towards the wood yard and then back through the gate while turning the trailer and pushing this load of stone uphill. I don't know if I can do it. If not, I'll just dump it down at the wood yard and bucket it up as needed. But I would like to have the dump trailer back there to load the spoil material in when I dig it. I can move it with the mini skid when it's empty, but I'm not going to hook the mini skid up to the trailer with 4 tons of stone in it on a hill. That would be a bad move. All right, I got the stone dumped. I'm gonna leave the dump trailer back there. That was a little tight trying to get that up in there, but it's there. I'll move it into place with the mini skid when I dig that trench. That'll probably be tomorrow afternoon. Got all my pipe unloaded. I think first thing in the morning, I'm gonna go down to the pond and get that siphon started. The weather looks pretty good. It looks like about 3 days without much rain at all. If that happens, I ought to be able to put the new drain pipe in and start grading everything up, putting everything back where it needs to be, and go from there. So I'll report back tomorrow morning, but I want to show you something. So check this out right here. This piece of rubber from Ford. Well, I watched a YouTube video yesterday, and it was one of those ones, you know, like 10 hidden features on your new Ford Expedition or something like that. And when you watch them, normally I already know about them. This one, I did not. These rubber covers were in here, and I saw in this video, you peel these off, and you've got an LED light bar right there, and another one over there. And they are incredibly bright. Now, they only work with your high beams. Of course, they are for off-road use only, which must be how they get away with putting them on, by putting these covers on there. But last night, I tried these out. I sat up here on the road headed down to the wood yard, turned my high beams on, hit those LEDs. It looked like daylight down there. Pretty impressive. But anyway, I'll report back tomorrow morning. All right, this morning, we're gonna put together a siphon system, and we'll take it down to the pond and get it running and start draining down that water level. Now I'm going with a 2-inch system. You can use really any size of pipe. I think I mentioned earlier, the only reason I went with 2 inches, it's about half as much as 4-inch, and it'll just take longer to drain it, but that's no problem. It'll be running 24/7. While I'm sleeping, it'll be moving water. A couple of these things you don't have to have, it just makes it easier, like a check valve and a ball valve. We'll put it all together and it'll make sense at that point. I did a video on a system like this probably 6 or 7 years ago. Last time I had major problems down at the pond, actually. All right, I got it well over half put together. We'll put the rest of it together when we get down to the pond, but that's the inlet side right there. I got a 22.5 down there. We'll run a pipe down into the pond. This will lay across the breastwork of the pond, and then this is the outlet end on this side. This is where you will charge the system. You'll screw that plug out, fill it full of water. I'll show you how it works when we get down there. Now, even though this is just a 2-inch system, this should definitely move at least 100 gallons of water per minute. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. It'll be ripping out of there. All right, I got the system all put together. I closed that ball valve down on the bottom. We're gonna go up top here and fill it up, charge the system. I'm gonna have to kind of watch it as I do it. You know, there's gonna be a lot of weight in that pipe. I may have to bridge it a little bit. We'll just have to see. All right, we got it filled up. Make sure this is on tight. You don't want any air getting in there. All right, got real nice flow. That has to be at least 100 gallons a minute. Nothing too crazy, but it's moving a lot of water. Where it's coming over the dam has already slowed down a little bit, but we're still getting a lot of runoff from the heavy rain the other day. Once things settle out, this will stop, and then that pipe's down in the water about 2 feet. So that should continue to run until the water level's down about 2 feet. And at that point, I'm just gonna put a pipe in over there in natural ground, a drain pipe straight across. And then I've got a pipe, a big culvert, underneath that road down there. It'll take a little work with the excavator, but I'll get the pond water to go right down into that little stream, across this road, and down into the main stream. But anyway, I think that's about it for today's video. I appreciate y'all being here, I really do. We'll come down here tomorrow, check the water level. I'd say about 2 or 3 days, we can get started on fixing this. Catch you on the next one.